the hunt for Colonel Gaddafi, and we're joined now by journalist Nabila Ramdani, who's interviewed both Colonel Gaddafi and his son Saif al-Islam. Nabila, the hunt for Gaddafi, now talk of a bounty, talk of an amnesty. Do you think that will work? Is that band of supporters around him likely to crack?
Well, the offer for a reward clearly comes, as a desperate move to bring about, a swift closure to this bloody drama which has been going on for over the last 6 months. And also it is an attempt to bring about some sort of stability and a restoration of law and order. And I think, what we are actually witnessing is some divisions within the rebels faction and a discrepancy between the leadership of the NTC, which on the one hand calls for reconciliation and unity, but on the other hand is also calling for appealing to Gaddafi's inner circle, essentially people with blood on their hands, and giving them reassurances to get an amnesty to kill Gaddafi. Now, perhaps this is for me the most disturbing aspect of it all, because this is an organization which is now the legitimate government of Libya, and is putting together, a democratic constitution. But in my opinion, the call to kill Gaddafi doesn't exactly reflect a belief in the rule of law and justice.
Or, I mean, it's not exactly a call to kill him, it's a call to hand him over, isn't it? And it's just not specifying whether dead or alive. But do you think, quite apart from the morality of it or the legality of it, do you think it will work? Is that band likely to crack?
It is hard to speculate how long, Gaddafi will be on the run, but what is for sure is that he's, in his typical defiant mode, his snipers and loyalists are still very active in Tripoli. Reports are coming from hospitals in Tripoli receiving a high number of casualties amongst the rebels. He's also said to be consolidating his forces along different borders in Algeria, Chad and Niger, and near the city of Sirte. So this is clearly not a man who is giving up, and he's not surrendering.
Yeah, and this question of safe passage, because again, that was another aspect of what the NTC offered last night. Do you think there's any chance of Colonel Gaddafi considering that offer, or is any hope of that gone completely?
I think there's no chance of Gaddafi even thinking about that. He made it abundantly clear throughout this conflict. He lived in Libya and he wants to die in Libya. But I think it will be hard on the TNC to try and impose on the rebels who could find Gaddafi to guarantee that safe passage. We are essentially talking about thousands of young, very angry men carrying guns who are, have a deep hatred for Gaddafi, and they are unlikely to hand him over alive.
And then, in terms of the Transitional Council and their efforts to impose a security, get the infrastructure working again, what's your assessment of the situation there this morning?
Well, I think it would be idealistic to try to move to a post-Gaddafi era if there isn't the right environment to make that happen. And it's very difficult to think that thousands of young men who are still carrying guns will drop their guns while Gaddafi is still on the run and potentially a threat.
So that has to be resolved first.
Absolutely.
Nabila, thanks for joining us.